see here.
Great.
I'm feeling good. How are you feeling?
Yeah. I'm loaded. I'm loaded with power. I was working on some different summonings, and they all worked out. I was surprised.
All of them worked
It's
out?
not. Yeah. Like, I mean, it took some of the incantations were a little kind of, you know, I summoned some stuff that I don't really want to talk about, but like, I mean, it took some of the incantations were a little kind of.
Nightcrawlers, if there's anybody out there watching, we're doing some testing. We're testing our equipment here since we're a little bit out of our element. We're still in the mode of connecting remotely. Eric, how's it looking on your end? Are you checking it out? Us out on Twitch?
Yeah, yours looks pretty good. Mine is sort of ridiculous, but I mean,
Well, how so?
it's just, like there's a glitch. It's not that bad. There's a little bit of a lag, but and there's a glitch where my forehead like jumps up.
Well,
but whatever.
Toast, thanks for joining us. What you're seeing is what we're going to have to live with, tech-wise.
Yeah. All right. I think we're good.
I'm not seeing the actual stream. Like, I know we're live, but for some reason I'm only seeing the Twitch app kind of sucks. It's.
Are you using your phone or the?
I am using my phone just because, I feel like I'm trying to leave well enough alone. I can see that. I can see.
Yeah,
I can
know.
see the. I guess it's not as important to monitor the video if you can do that on your end, and I can see the chat though.
Yeah.
And I can see. I see a lot more than that actually.
If it's good enough for Ed Toast, then it's good enough for the prime time, is what I say.
Truly, I mean, if you've seen enough episodes to say this looks okay, then that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Eric, I say what we do now. What are we? 8 minutes out. I'd say we put up our little live screensaver and we chill out. I'm gonna kick out.
Let's chill out.
Back.
I'm gonna take my pants off and put on my short shorts.
But you can hear me on the video chat, obviously. Right. Okay, cool. So, Oh, you can't? That's weird. Oh, okay, cool.
deepest depths of the dark web. Dark of the night.
And I'm Eric Yearwood. Welcome to the Neither Regions.
And I am, and that's what we call our two basements when they're combined.
That's right.
Yeah.
Alex has a permanent basement, and I am renting a basement for the month. I'm subleasing. I'm not living in my car this month.
Man, that
Thank
blows
goodness.
me away. I still think I still and don't get mad, but I still think that I can never, find. I think of you as someone that I don't ever know really where you are. I imagine that as sort of something essential to you, but you're literally living in the same place all the time right now.
Well, that's true, but don't turn your back, because I may emerge from the mist next time you're at the supermarket, or next time you're in the restroom, or just wherever.
Don't don't.
Hey, listen, I want to show you something, Alex. I found this. This is raw ore, and as you know, my crystal exploded when you locked up the studio, and there was that blue light in Long Island City. But I'm going to carve a new crystal from this. I'm going to hew a new one from the raw ore. What do you think of that?
That is so cool, and so it's like you're like a paranormal, not Michelangelo. He didn't do sculpture. Whoever the classic sculpture guy is, who said inside that block of marble there's a perfect sculpture in there. Well, you're the paranormal version of that with a crystal, and. Or you're just somebody who just doesn't give up when your crystal explodes, is another way to put it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I know that you're, a leather worker, and so I under here. I'm looking forward to seeing how your whip is coming along.
Just quickly to explain, I am, as many of you know, I believe in alchemy. But not just lead into gold, all sorts of things into other things. And I have a theory that if I sort of grind paper towels, if I sort of twist them tight enough, it'll turn into the same material that molecularly
as
is
leather.
And I don't. If someone can fucking explain to me why that wouldn't be true, I'd stop doing it. But no one has been able to offhand do it. I just want to say, I don't either. Hippie Steve, Ed Toast, Matt in Los Angeles. Good evening. Hippie Steve.
They're all here. The
Weenus
gang's
Grabber.
all here.
Man, we have a fun activity coming up later. There's a $10 McDonald's gift card up for grabs.
Is that true?
Yes.
I know that you advertise that, but I'm just wondering, where are we going to get that $10?
I mean, we'll work it out.
And why can't I have it? Because
maybe it'll make us.
I'd like it, McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, me too. But maybe it's an investment.
Hashtag me too.
Not that. Well, not that. But it is a $10 McDonald's gift card, and so so that'll be later. Our topic tonight is Loch Ness Monster. Eric, I want to kick it into high gear.
Wait, before you do that, can we remark, just because we really appreciate when the night crawlers are sort of giving us some feedback on how our broadcast is going. It says Alex's volume is low and Eric has a bit of a delay. Fun so far, though. Let's see, Alex. I'm going to turn up. Let's see how low your volume is. Wait, before you do that, can we remark? Just say something. Tell us a little bit about
tonight,
yourself.
The topic is Loch Ness Monster. It's a creature of innocence. And Eric and I feel strongly about the Loch Ness Monster. We haven't talked about it a lot because it's kind of like that movie Amelie. I feel the same way about the Loch Ness Monster that I do about the movie Amelie, which is that it's such a beautiful movie and it's so powerful that I can only watch.
Yeah, you need to turn up your
That's
volume.
interesting, Eric, because it is at maximum volume. So hold on there.
Why don't I talk? I'll share a couple of thoughts about the Loch Ness Monster. Folks, the Loch Ness Monster is from Loch Ness. And Loch Ness is a place of magic. It's a place of mystery. It's a place that is a crown jewel in the Emerald Isles. You know, it's a place that people dare not tread unless you want to get munched on by a sauropod. And some people do. I can't say that wouldn't feel good if it was sort of a light teething rather than truly like a chomp. I've never been there. I've never been to Ireland, but is that where it is? No, Scotland. Right.
I am a little worried because and I'll just say this. You know, we're working out some kinks in our system right now. According to my reading, and you know, it's cool because maybe these readings don't mean anything, but I am so much louder than you on this reading, and I have been the whole time, that I'm excited to see how this plays out. It's noticeably louder. That's good.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
don't think it's bad.
Eric, I have a history of the Loch Ness Monster prepared.
A hysterectomy,
Right.
in a sense.
Now, what is that?
That's when a woman has her vagina removed.
So that is not what. Maybe it is. Let's get into it and see if it is. So, Eric, as you were saying,
Yes.
the Loch Ness Monster,
Right.
and ask me questions during this, but let's try to get through it because I think you and I have some interesting thoughts about the Loch Ness Monster.
Right. Yeah, you've gone deep into the history and deep into the lore, so regale us, please,
Okay.
with your
So-
findings.
Nightcrawlers. Scotland is a land. It's the Land o' Lakes, or lochs, as they call them. And it's a fairly recent phenomenon that continues today into 27,000 that which was a record year for sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. Now, Eric, if you had to guess the first year that the Loch Ness Monster was sighted, what would that be?
Okay, I'm gonna say 1992.
Okay. It was earlier, but 1992 is a year that happened since it's been seen. So in a way, that's correct. In 1933, a Scottish law enforcement officer, Eric, spotted what he described as the nearest approach to a dragon or prehistoric animal that I have ever seen in my life.
Good God. Can you imagine?
Well, here's what's interesting. The very next year, they imagined for us using a picture. And what at first sounded terrifying, we soon found out was obviously something that's nice. It looks like it's nice.
What do you mean by that when you say the word nice? Because a lot of things look
Like-
nice. My ass.
Well, your ass is. It's like
You
it's,
wouldn't know
well,
that, but
I know what you mean though, theoretically. So let's assume both our asses look nice in the same way.
okay.
That's a different, and this is important. clarification of terms. It's like wow, that guy has a nice ass. That's my friend Eric. I have a same kind of nice ass. Well, that's the kind of ass you want to sort of, shop around. The Loch Ness Monster looks nice in the way that's like, I want to go talk. I either want to go talk to him or I want to talk to that thing, or I want to sort of, either own it and pet it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I want to do both those things to it. This is from what you've told us so far. Is there more to the story?
So, after we saw it in an illustration in 1934, immediately after that, Eric, this is 100% true. The Secretary of State of Scotland ordered law enforcement officers to protect the Loch Ness Monster.
What? This is back in 1933?
No, it's 1934. It was the next year. Why?
Why?
What?
Why would that
Well, this is
happen?
you got to ask yourself. Either they thought that they had found something very important and historically, valuable. But how many times has anyone ever reacted to something paranormal like we gotta protect this thing? Never. It's because because it looks like it's nice.
And can I ask you a question? Was that was a picture of the mayor, you said, or the governor?
That was a picture of the Scottish Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, and because he looked sort of like the kind of person that you would see that would be a villain. It would be like the guy, like let's say that Footloose was set in 1933. That would be sort of the townsperson who said, don't dance. So it's shocking to think that he would be a protector of the Loch Ness Monster.
I think of it kind of like this, Eric. Did you ever see that movie, It's a Wonderful Life? Well,
no.
There's a character. Well, you've seen the character Ebenezer Scrooge, right? He's a total,
yes.
and forgive my language here. He's a total dick.
Oh,
well,
why would you say that?
Sometimes there's just not a good word to describe somebody other than that guy is a dick. And what I'm saying is that this guy, Secretary of State of Scotland in 1934, he very well may have been that kind of dick. But the Loch Ness Monster is such a sweet. I mean, you just want to go up to it and just kind of climb up it and just grab its head and just kind of go, hello.
Yeah, you want to lay in front of a fire with it and just kind of lightly stroke it as you're watching, like the Westminster Dog Show.
Yeah, you want to throw, you want to knit a throw and then put the throw on it and then lay on the throw on it. And here's what I'll say. I'm just going to quickly go through a couple other pictures that happened, or one other picture that happened that same year. It's called the Surgeon's Photograph. It's the famous photo of the Loch Ness Monster. It's just kind of a shadowy looking, but still it's just a sort of a shadowy silhouette in the middle of the Loch Ness, and you just want to swim out there and just sort of see. First, you want to say hey, and you want to say hello, and
that's the famous picture.
That's the famous picture. It happened in 1934, the year after it was discovered.
Really? That's a picture from 1934.
Yep. So even, sometimes I see old pictures of babies, and people look very serious, in the 20s and 30s holding their babies. And I think, did people think things were cute back then? Did they know what cute stuff was? And the answer is yes, because the Secretary of State thought Loch Ness Monster was, he thought it looked nice. And so I just want to say, even modern photographs of the Loch Ness Monster look, you look like you want to go up to it and you just want to hug its neck and sort of let it take you away.
Now, that's true, Alex. I'm going to point out that it seems like I don't know how, any other way to put it. So I'm just going to be blunt that the Nightcrawlers seem horny tonight because they're saying some weird stuff. Matt in Los Angeles is talking about my dick. I don't know. That doesn't seem like it should be happening. Ed Toast is saying offer Nessie a heavy petting. And I don't know where that's coming from because what we're describing is sort of more of a paternal set of feelings directed at Nessie and not sexual. Not yet. Would you say that's true
this
or
is
no?
not. You got to keep those. And this is, this, in a way, at first I was glad we were talking about our asses before because it was sort of important conceptually to clarify. But now I think that sort of maybe just mentally started us down a path towards sort of, you know what I mean?
That's true. We did kind of kick it off.
So let's say our bad. Let's not think.
Yeah, but I want to point out though that it's not all a bad thing because people they tend to label paranormal investigators as these asexual neck breathers, right? And I'm glad that the Nightcrawlers have certain urges that they're sort of fully formed human beings that have those sort of passions, but not tonight, guys.
We are proud to say that we're not in support of sexual repression in any sense. But tonight, it is important that you take that side of yourself and take what you got and just stuff or jam it in any place that you can keep it just for the next 45 minutes. It's important.
In a Coke can,
in a in a bank. Capital 1360 is a bank that's open 24 hours a day. So see if they'll take it. Hippie Steve said, "Let's mental reset. Think of haggis and other Scottish things." You see, that's great. You see, people get it.
Yeah.
Nightcrawlers. I just want to call attention to one last thing, which is that this sweet little this big beautiful animal, despite all these fleeting sightings, there have been 2 separate actual state funded sonar searches for the Loch Ness monster, one in 1967 and one in 2011, and both found seemingly nothing. Seemingly. And some paranormal investigators would say, fuck, we didn't get proof. But here's what I say, and I think you'd agree with me, Eric. Good. Keep it away from prying eyes. Keep it away from the bad, all the bad people in the world.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. He's too smart for you, for yo ass. He's gonna dive deep to the bottom of the Loch Ness. He knows where all of the caves are, all the hiding places, and he's not gonna get caught. Like a creature like that wouldn't have stuck around for 1 billion years if it didn't know how to escape a little bit of sonar. You know what I mean?
Hippie Steve says the state's trying to protect it.
Well, I'd like to see Hippie Steve's evidence for that. I mean, that's an interesting hypothesis.
The Secretary of State did come out and say, he was basically saying police officers, don't let anyone get it.
That's true. And however, Alex, I have to point out, you and I sometimes we don't always trust the Irish, and I know that we're not talking about the Irish. We're talking about Scottish people, but it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and those people are sort of all related in a sense. And so I don't know if I completely trust them to keep their own state secret safe if the money was right.
Yes. and you're being very kind and polite. And just to be forward, just to be clear, Eric, let me recap what you just said. Eric and I don't like the Irish, and we barely trust the Scottish.
And the English, I mean, don't get us started. Pretty much all of our trolls, everybody who gets on our chat and says something racist, tell me they're not from one of those places.
You prove to me that there isn't that someone. I'll say this right now. Someone proved to me that someone find evidence and prove to me that everyone that has ever been mean to me or said anything or looked at me in a mean way, prove to me that they're not all British or Irish and Scottish, because I know they are. And no one can prove otherwise to me. No one can give me a shred of fucking evidence to the contrary. And that's just that's not something. I sound mad, but I'm just I'm just saying it's true.
Well, the hippie Steve says both sonar searches occurred when the Labour Party was in majority. And what's this? Weenus Grabber says, when was the sonar done? If it was in the wintertime, Nessie would have been on land to avoid getting frozen.
Yeah.
These are that Labour Party connection is fascinating, and this is part of the reason why I'm glad that we have a bunch of sort of citizen journalists that are watching our show, because sourcing data like that is how we sort of aggregate it all, and we make sense out of this.
Tonight's episode, it's worth saying. I mean, it's the backbone. The backbone of Dark of the Night is data. And this episode has been created through thousands of terabytes of collected data through algorithms, and it.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I thought you actually meant the character from Star Trek: The Next Generation, but. And I was like, yeah, I can see that too. But
here's the thing, and one thing we don't bring up often on the show is that we're simulcasting to two different dimensions, and everything we say means two things, and one of them is true here, and one of them is true in the other dimension. And in the other dimension, this show is made by a big data, a sort of a 12-foot tall, actual, not Brent Spiner dressed as Data, just a real Data. And
that's something we don't talk about a lot, because we don't know, actually, we don't know a lot about it.
It's not super germane to our audience in this dimension.
Yeah. Right. You got to kind of give people what they want. Not everybody here in this dimension is interested.
Yeah, we try to keep it streamlined. So Eric, we have an opening here. I think we've kind of laid the groundwork for our episode.
Right.
Why don't you take the helm and sort of go? You've some thoughts about you wanted to lead a group discussion about. We only have these distant views of Loch Ness Monster, right? So you wanted to talk about what does this thing look like?
Right. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about what does this thing look like, and this is an exercise that we're going to sort of walk through together as a group. And oftentimes, perception is reality, and there's a lot of different data sets about. What is the Loch Ness Monster? Is it a dinosaur? Is it sort of some sort of sea dragon? What is under the surface? So we all, as I mentioned before, citizen journalists have our own perceptions, our own set of recollections about the reportage surrounding Loch Ness Monster. And so what I want to do now is I have a giant pencil, and I have this this Post-it notes from TD Bank, and I want to put pencil to paper, and I want to draw a few pictures of the Loch Ness Monster based on you, the Nightcrawlers, your descriptions. So what I want to do is I want to ask you individually, and I'll sort of take first come, first serve. I want you to describe what the Loch Ness Monster looks like in sort of a 2 or 3 sentence summation, and then I will draw it based not from my pre-existing knowledge of the Loch Ness Monster, but based on your description, and we'll see sort of what comes up. Because, so this is how it would be happening in 1933 in the mind's eye of people that were fielding those reports that came in from eyewitnesses on the ground. So describe to me, if you're so inclined, what the Loch Ness Monster is or what it looks like to you. And then I'm going to draw it. So first comes, first serve. So the hippie Steve says duck feet and a members only jacket. With a spiked tail. Okay.
And I just want to reward, while you're doing that, I want to reward Matt in Los Angeles for following the proper protocol, Dark of the Night protocol, is even though there's an active stream chat where you're, in theory, allowed to say stuff whenever you want, he raised his hand, which is we're even though no one usually does it, we're very angry when you don't. So thank you for doing that.
So I've got a picture here, and this is sort of what it is.
Could you pull it back a little bit, Eric? Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, that's sort of, it was, I don't know why he would have a members only jacket. That seems sort of, there's a little bit of silliness there, but the spiked tail is an interesting detail. There are many dinosaurs of old that have that sort of a defense mechanism built in, and so we don't know that he doesn't have a spiked tail.
I mean, and theoretically, anyone or anything can wear a members only jacket.
Okay, so we've got Matt in Los Angeles' dopey but innocent face, soft around the eyes. So I'm just going to draw. I'm sitting in a police station and somebody says those words, here's what I would draw. Because Matt in Los Angeles didn't even say that it was like a creature. So this is what you described. So I want this to be sort of a lesson, because think about what you're saying when you're reporting some sort of paranormal experience. This is what people are seeing in their mind when you're telling them that you've seen some sort of a paranormal situation. Now, I'm going to take one more here. Ween describes this as a brontosaurus-type creature that can swim, a kind face, and flaps on its feet. Okay.
I just want to say it's fun to see Eric draw. Whenever Eric and I are grabbing coffee, and he'll be doodling, and I'll say, you should do this you should do this more. Like, people should see this. And he's like, you stop screwing around. You're making me, you stop dicking around. And I do stop saying it because he just says it really, really angrily. But it's fun. It is fun. He's good at it. Matt in Los Angeles says what you drew before, that's what he saw, and you should work for the police. Just saying, Eric.
Well, I'd like a job. So if you are hiring and you're happen to be a commandant, then please let me know. But no, I seriously I do appreciate the confidence boost. This is what I've got for that with a kind face. Brontosaurus, like with the flaps on the feet. I wasn't sure quite what the flaps mean per se, but
It's interesting, Eric, because when I see whatever that is, I almost want to say there's nothing that is that. You know what I mean? But if we don't engage in the process of searching and elimination, we're going to stay trapped in the same kind of track that every stupid jackass gets themselves dug into. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I think that the point is that there are similarities between these three drawings.
It's almost just different camera angles of the same guy.
Right. It's like oh, I saw this from afar, and then when you got closer, it was this guy, and then you kind of got real close, and oh shit, you're right up on top of him. So good job, Nightcrawlers. I don't know really what we accomplished there, but I think that it was some sort of a lesson about perception and about sort of sharpening the mind in order to report paranormal experiences. So Alex, I think that you have you're going to entree-vous into our next bit. Is that true?
We have here. We have a short, a series of short scenarios that give us an opportunity. What we were talking about earlier, Eric, right? With the idea of the Scottish Secretary of State wanting to protect the Loch Ness monster because it's nice looking, and it is nice. It seems nice, and it probably is nice. Right. And that's that story that was told in 1933, the first recorded story of the Loch Ness monster. It was carrying an animal across the street, probably food, but dogs eat food. Dogs are nice. And so just because it, was eating something doesn't mean it's not nice. And I think, it looks, if something is nice, you have to protect it because the world is bad. The world's full of bad stuff that can hurt nice things.
Yeah, well, nice is kind of one of those words that, generally speaking, it sounds like kind of lame. But in this situation, the prospect of a dinosaur or some sort of a dragon that is at the bottom of some mysterious lake is so terrifying that when you add the word nice to it, it sort of equals out into something really good. So I think what you're about to queue up is the contest that we were describing before.
This is not the flash fiction contest. What we have here is kind of a crash course in protecting the Loch Ness monster. If you find, and I'll have to say, it's hard to. I want to say this sounds far-fetched that you're ever going to be in the situation where, I kind of imagine it's sort of like that movie where there's the robot Johnny Five and it's like that. Yeah. And Steve Guttenberg's there, and there's the girl with the short hair, and, he's running away from the government, and she's like protecting Johnny Five from Steve Guttenberg and some scientists. And that you could find yourself in a situation like that, where with the Loch Ness monster, where you're like, I have to protect it from scenario one. The Loch Ness monster is being pursued by the government and its scientists for use as a weapon against the modern equivalent to the Soviets. What I wanted to say is the Chinese. So
you're not allowed to say that, though.
So the Nightcrawlers, what? and Eric as well. What do you do? You're in charge. You are for all intents and purposes, the legal guardian of the Loch Ness Monster. What do you do? How do you protect it?
I don't know. Well, there's one important fact that I think that you got to kind of put in the equation here, and that is that when you're in Scotland, you're dealing with Highlanders.
Right. There are Highlanders
everywhere, and so you're not only dealing with this monster, but you're dealing with a bunch of sort of roaming swordsmen that are trying to chop each other's heads off to experiencing the quickening and attain godlike immortality. And so they're out there, and if you could possibly convince one of them to kind of hang around the lake and use that samurai sword to cut down anybody who's taking pictures, I mean, that might be worthwhile.
So I'm going to write here I'm going to write here options for protecting, because there's not one right answer, and it says options, but that's, there's no time. So we're going to say hire the Highlanders. Ed Toast had an interesting suggestion before, moon base ? That could work. Let's not cross anything off. I don't know what that means. I have no access to any funds to do any kind of space exploration or build anything there. But that's why there's a question mark at the end of it. Weenus Grabber has a very interesting suggestion. Hire an eraser. I'm assuming he's talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, to erase its identity. And I spelled identity wrong. Again, I just don't have any time. So I think those are all good. Let me show you what I came up with. I went with what I call, to me, this is the classic thing you do when you find yourself in sort of a fish out of water situation, in this case, sort of literally, where you're kind of like, oh, I was just working an everyday job. Suddenly I'm the custodian of the Loch Ness Monster. The government and a scientist is chasing it. So I got to get this thing out of here. I got to go on a sort of a road trip. And then, when they finally corner me with the army and helicopters, then you just show everyone it would never hurt anybody. And I think that's going to work nicely.
That's sort of the ET option.
Let's call that the ET option. All you have to do is sort of say, please just look at it. It wouldn't hurt anyone.
And what not a lot of people know is that ET it's based on true events that happened not in 1985 but in 1976. And it was not in America, it was Lithuania.
Right. The real ET was Lithuanian, and he did let's just say it didn't go as well for him, and we're glad it didn't.
Yeah, because they found out some stuff about him that would have been really bad if they hadn't taken him and done what they did.
So let's do this. Scenario 2. The Loch Ness Monster asks you where people go when they die. Now, this is a different kind of protection, but you don't want to scare the Loch Ness Monster. And I want to say, I want to sort of make this easy on everyone. Don't get too creative with this. Go with the classic explanation. Tell the Loch Ness Monster what heaven is and where it is in space. Do you know what I mean, Eric?
That one, well, no, if I'm completely honest, I'm not totally sure I do know what you mean. Because that one, It's a little more esoteric. It's a little more sort of conceptual and philosophical. So,
Well, yeah, and I'm assuming, and just because you're nice doesn't mean just because you're nice doesn't mean you can't easily be lied to. And I'm sort of so here's a way to sort of explain what I mean. You can come up with any sort of conception of what heaven is. My reason of saying where it is in space is it just sells it a little more. If you say there's a place you go and everyone will be there, that's where you go when you die. Well, if I'm the Loch Ness Monster, I'm thinking, well, where the fuck is that? It's like, well, it's behind the moon, and it goes, oh, and because what it's just it's very specific.
Right, you have to assume that, like dolphins and killer whales, some of those large sea creatures have high intelligences, and they're going to be asking the big questions if you really pin it down and start communicating.
Right,
with it.
And it's very possible. Now, I'm a simple man, and this is my solution. There may be a more intelligent man may look at this and say you're an imbecile, and that's I can tell you're lying. And let's the Loch Ness Monster may know you're lying, and it's not foolproof. These aren't foolproof. I'll say that, and I wish they were. Nothing is. So I want to say this last one is sort of it's getting very close to Code Red type situation, Eric. Scenario 3: the Loch Ness Monster gets invited to the dance by a cute guy, E.G. Brian.
E.G. Brian.
Example given, Brian. So
Oh! I thought you meant like it was maybe someone who's half Japanese and half Irish.
Well, we only know his first name, so it's not. It may be. So the Loch Ness Monster gets invited to the dance by a cute guy. Example given, Brian. So how do you protect it? What would you do, Eric?
I'd say.
You don't want. Don't let it it's heartbroken is what we're protecting it from. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if humans. I doubt that humans can impregnate a sea creature of that size. I'd like to see the guy who can pull that off. But if it were possible, I'd want to prevent it at any cost. So I would sit the Loch Ness Monster down. I would say, what are your intentions with this boy? And then I'd sit him down and I'd have a shotgun on my lap, and I might put the shotgun in his mouth and say, you better beg that you're going to get out of here alive, because you're probably not. And then I'd squeeze the trigger just almost, till I actually pulled it, and then I'd let him go, and then I'd hope that they had a good time.
So your way of doing it, and I'm going to write this down. Ways to protect. Your way is just kind of to put the fear into him, so he knows not to cross anyone.
Sure.
We'll say put the fear into Brian. Hippie Steve said she's going to be the center of a cruel joke involving pig's blood. Now that's interesting, Hippie Steve, because my approach to protecting the Loch Ness Monster, I call it the Carrie's mother, and again it's misspelled, but we're out of time, method. And so that is it's a simple classic. Here's how it goes. It is, Eric, solution: When Brian rings the doorbell, tell him that the Loch Ness Monster can't come downstairs. It's simple. It's clean. It's so simple that it's a little frightening. You know what I mean?
It's now.
It's the 2019. It's the 2019. Hello. Here we go. Here we go. Let's get this thing going. Let's keep Loch Ness Monster locked up, upstairs. Now we're down to the last scenario here, and I call it the emergency scenario. The Loch Ness Monster says she doesn't want you smothering them, and they are tired of you being overprotecting to them. And I'm going to fix that because spelling is one thing, grammar is another. So what do? I'll give you the answer. Nice and clean solution. Say you understand and give them some space, but then drive around following it. So just don't let it go. Deception is key here. Every single, except for the first one, which is what we call, it's sort of an ET situation. In order to protect the Loch Ness, it involves a lot of insulating against the world using lies and deception. It's sort of a Matrix type situation.
Yeah, and at this point, Nightcrawlers, you might say, like, what the fuck are you talking about? And the truth is, look, we're the experts here, okay? You tune in to Twitch, you tune in to Dark of the Night to meet a couple of guys that know a little bit more about what they're talking about than the average.
I took off my...
And this is some great
thank
research.
Thank you. It's cobbled together from what I can only assume to be hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of algorithmically collected data. And I took off my hat for a reason when Eric mentioned the kinds of people that there's a reason that we as Nightcrawlers are here together. And it's because, people would look at that presentation I just did and say, that's horseshit. And you are, you're a dumb, you're also a dumb, stupid guy who's made of horseshit. And you're stupid. And I hate you. And I'd be like, I hate you too.
Yeah, well, we know we're not going to tolerate any kind of mental poison. Not tonight. We may tolerate it next week. But for now, Nightcrawlers, I want to sort of do something that is involves you. That's involves a little bit of audience participation, and so I hope that you're ready for this. We consider the Loch Ness Monster to be essentially a child. It's a creature that is misunderstood. It's a creature that is gentle, loving, beautiful on the inside, innocent, untouched by human intervention, by exposure to what on Star Trek they might call the Prime Directive. And the Loch Ness Monster is basically a baby. So I've got some baby trivia that I'm going to share the trivia with you, and then I'm going to ask you if you want to participate in sort of answering and sort of playing this game, so to speak. I want you to give me your responses in a whisper on Twitch, and the winner, Alex and I, will sort of, we will shout your praises in a very sort of formulaic and specific ritual way. So what I'm going to do is I've got a few different trivia questions here about babies, but I'm going to just replace the word baby with the word Loch Ness Monster, because those things are essentially interchangeable. And then I'm going to give you some options, and then you're going to whisper to me what you think the answer is. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm assuming the answer is yes.
That makes sense to me, Eric.
Great, Alex. Okay, so trivia 1. The Loch Ness Monster recognizes its mother's voice at birth. How long does it take the Loch Ness Monster to recognize its father's voice? And so we've got 5 options. A, 30 minutes. B, 7 days. C, 24 hours. D, 14 days. Or E, 1 month. What do you think, folks? 30 minutes, 7 days, 24 hours, 14 days, or 1 month. How long does it take the Loch Ness Monster to recognize its father's voice? Ed Toast says D.
It's kind of like yelling out the answer out like for all the groups to hear at trivia night.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's when you know someone's drunk. And so the other, let me see who's got the correct answer here, because we got a number of whispers coming in. Alex, are you able to see our whispers?
I did see them just now. Yes.
Okay. So the first person who responded with D, who was that?
What? Wait, the first person who responded.
I believe it was actually Ed Toast, although he didn't whisper it. So
I like that. I like that you weren't. You were. Yeah, you know, it's true. I'm glad that we were going to not count Ed Toast's answer because he didn't whisper it, and you know what? Disqualified. fucking disqualified. The answer is
okay,
the question is canceled.
The question's canceled. So you guys can't play by the rules. Then this is why we can't have nice
don't
things.
Don't make us the
so
bad guy. We will cancel one question after the other, and that's not because we can't read our own whispers.
Right. So at this point, it's a level playing field. It's anybody's guess. So we're going to question 2. How many? And this is sort of a strangely worded question. It makes me think that the person who wrote this website I'm reading this off of is maybe not from this country. How many is the most surviving children of the Loch Ness
I'm not
Monster?
sure grammatically I'm following this. Could you just sort of clarify?
How many is the most surviving children of a Loch Ness Monster from a single birth? 10 children, 8 children, 15 children, 6 children, or 12 children?
Two things. You know what? I'm not gonna. It's an interesting question. I think. Can we have the options one more time?
10, 8, 15, 6, or 12. And Weenus Grabber is sort of putting the word whisper in some sort of quotations, which also isn't. That's also not what we want. And it turns out that Weenus Grabber is the only one who actually.
Now again, there's no one won.
Yeah, now we're canceling that question.
And here's the
also.
thing, I guess you could say in a way that your prize is, Weenus Grabber guessed correctly, and now you know that some trivia about the Loch Ness Monster. Well, no one should feel good about that, because when one person doesn't follow the rules, they ruin all of our lives a little.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, we think of the Nightcrawlers as sort of our KISS army, and I don't really know what the point is of having an army if no one actually follows directions.
You can bet your ass that Gene Simmons from Kiss, he would say when at his concerts, he said doors were open at 7:30. Where the fuck were some of you?
Yeah.
What is this?
Right. So let's try again here. We'll do question 3. When does a Loch Ness monster get its flipper prints? This says fingerprints, but Loch Ness monster doesn't have fingers, so it'd be flipper prints. When does a Loch Ness monster get its fingerprints? A, shortly after birth. B, as a 3-month fetus. C, as a 6-month fetus. Or D, after it's 3 months old.
Whisper your answer, please. We shouldn't have to say it at this point. And we're not mad. We're everybody makes mistakes.
Okay, Ed Toast's answer is in. The hippie Steve is sort of just writing a bit. He didn't actually answer the question. Okay, well,
I'm a little worried about Dr. Watney. She hasn't been.
Dr. Watney hasn't said a word.
She said hello earlier.
Right, she did.
I've been sort of missing her in the feed.
Okay, so no one got the answer correct. It was B, as a 3-month fetus. Okay, well, we're still at 0, guys. We'll do one more, and this is sort of a winner take all.
Eric, can I ask you?
Yeah.
Dr. Watney said she'd missed this episode.
I see.
Eric, I'm seeing some sadness in your eyes.
Well, I just want to believe that we have sort of the best of the best that are our Nightcrawlers.
Yeah, it's like look. It's like everyone here is a dedicated paranormal investigator. They've shown their worth, they've shown their mettle, they've shown that they have what it takes. But at the same time, it's like just to give a metaphor, it's like, hey, it's like the reason I don't have any friends is I don't tolerate lateness. Okay? And no one should. So I don't have any friends, and I'm proud of it because, you show up 2 minutes late and you're like, sorry, my car, wouldn't start. It's freezing. And I'm like, well, guess what? It's over for us.
Right. It's like watching your son play soccer for the first time and just
it's like, well, you know what? We're not coming back to practice.
No. And yeah, it's like he better get good at esports. And he's not even really that good at that. So it's like seeing your dreams die in the eyes of a child is sort of what we're dealing with here. So we're going to do one more question. And if no one can get this right, there is a window on the other side of my webcam here, and I may just dive through the window. Well, I can't promise anything, but so all right. So our last question: in Turkish tradition, a pregnant Loch Ness monster is not allowed to do any of the following except A, look at a monkey.
What the fuck is this? But this is such an interesting question. It just makes me want to go, what's going on? Sorry.
Well, it's an ethnic question. A, look at a monkey. B, chew gum. C, look at beautiful people. D, attend a funeral. And E, eat fish. So in Turkish tradition, a Loch Ness monster is not allowed to do any of those things. I'll give the options again. It is A, look at a monkey. B, chew gum. C, look at beautiful people. D, attend a funeral. E, eat fish? Okay, the answers are coming in now. And we've got one incorrect already.
You look sad.
Well, yeah, we've got 2 incorrect. Great.
Don't be sad.
Yeah, we've got 3 incorrect.
Don't be sad, Eric. Please.
I mean, I just don't. It looks as though that's. And our dog,
Yeah.
who
The question's
our
over.
dog, Matt in Los Angeles just said, "Eric, I'm sorry." And folks, the answer was, and nobody got it. It was C. Look at beautiful people. So you guys, nobody got one question right. What am I doing with my life? I'm sitting in a small room. I'm talking to a man whose life is sort of equally sort of
Who are you?
going
Are you
nowhere.
talking
And
about me?
no, I
Oh,
feel like I want to.
Is there someone
throw...
else there?
No. Let's just kind of move on to the. What's the next?
Well, I just want to say quick. First of all, Eric, listen to me. That went great. You know, when you said to me, I'll say this to you, Eric. When you said to me, I came up with a trivia game. It's going to be great. Everyone is going to get all the answers right.
I did say that.
And I said to you, that's not what a trivia game is. The point is that only some people get it right. And I said to you, right. You know, should we have very extremely strict disqualification rules? And you said yes. And I said, okay, I'll get behind you. But what I want to say is, trivia is about having a good time. Everybody rocked around this stream just now playing that trivia. And guess what? You know what I do when I get an answer wrong in trivia? I laugh. I chuckle. I do.
Do you really?
What's the right answer?
That's so weird that you just laugh and that's it. You don't go in and look in the mirror and rake your fingernails down your cheeks?
I say when I'm playing not Connect 4, because that's not a when I lose. Well, here's it's a little bit of a mixed metaphor, but when I lose Connect 4, you know what I say to myself?
What?
That was fun. I'm not going to play another game in a row with this person because they're better than me, but you know what? That was fun. I had a great time. So everyone had let's close out the night with just a quick, I almost, part of me wants to, that was such, you know what, Eric, I'm going to say this. That was such a great trivia night. I almost don't want to go through, we have a great flash fiction contest, but it's like 2 awesome things in a row. But
well, we got to do the flash fiction.
This is exciting, contest. I have to say. But and it's 2 fun contests right in a row, and it's the kind of thing that I would hope that a happy Loch Ness monster would say, "Let's play games." And I'd say, "What kind of games do you want to play?"
Yeah.
And maybe the Loch Ness monster would say trivia, or let's write stories together.
That'd be so funny if that happened.
Man. And depending on what's going on, you might have to be like, we can't, it's time for bed. Or yes, let's do that. I'm going to get started. What is at stake here?
Yeah.
in the Flash nonfiction contest.
Do we need to obscure this a little so that they're not reading it ahead of us?
I mean, we can do that. You know, I was excited. This is an opportunity to share literature with the world, and I was a little bit like, man, I want to put this great creativity on the screen.
Put it all out there.
And part of me wants to say every single moment that we're looking at this, you should read it. But then again, I just changed it, so you can't. Entry 1. This is from Steve. Here we go.
Okay.
When I was about 16 or 26, sorry to take a break in the middle of the literature, but what's at stake is a $10 McDonald's gift. When I was about 16 or 26, this happened a few times, so take your pick. My father picked me up to go camping in the Upper Peninsula. When he arrives, the ghost of David Gilmour, which is weird because David Gilmour is very much still alive, gets out and instructs me to ride in the center seat. It's a long drive, so we talk. He told me he'd never actually seen The Wizard of Oz. With arms wide open, Steve. A haunting entry from Steve.
That is very strange.
Why do you think so?
Well, there's like several things that are directly sort of contradictory, self-contradictory. It sort of makes my brain want to destroy itself because on the one hand, I'm completely open to the mysteries, the unexplained, and then on the other hand, I'm on a search for truth, and so there's a sort of a logic side of me. And my feeling is like if this were a computer program, it would like totally throw a million errors.
Well,
right
in
now.
a way, we're human machines, and you know when you get to the border of the paranormal, you know our brains do get overloaded.
That's interesting. That wasn't the hippie Steve.
Was it the hippie Steve?
Was it?
Take credit for your work, Nightcrawlers, because I've read all of the entries,
but don't take credit for something that's not your work, please. It would be a nest. Cool.
It would take years to untangle that kind of sort of deception.
Matt in Los Angeles says it was a hippie Steve.
Well, all
right.
Ed Toast has a possible explanation: ghost of dude who didn't die, so maybe it's a clone and the real dude is dead. That's scary. People don't usually get into discussing clones and ghosts, but it's a moment that will happen. The more clones are openly, in our society, the more ghosts they'll have to sort of interact with the different ghosts around us. Eric, why don't you read entry 2?
Okay. Entry 2. It hovered there, out past the road, over the open pasture for 10 or 20 seconds. Then it looped and zagged, and the sky went dark again. Did you see that? I asked, gripping the steering wheel tightly. Nope, she replied. Great. Neither did I. Nat.
I have to say, that is exactly what someone who's not a Nightcrawler would say when they see the fantastic, right?
Yeah, nope.
They would say, let's agree to live in absolute darkness when faced with the blinding light of truth.
Right, because at that point you there's no future in that relationship. But you kind of just have to go through the motions.
I didn't think about that.
Because,
yeah, they're never hanging out again.
Because what if you have to tell them at some point, like, I've been probed? Do you want to get laughed out of the church when you're standing at the altar and that's what you say?
Well, here's what Hippie Steve says, uninspiring. Well, I think he's trying to critique the work, and Hippie Steve,
yeah.
You've got a horse in this race, buddy. So don't overdo it. You're a biased judge. You want that $10 McDonald's gift card, and so do we. Everybody want it.
We might. Alex, why don't you read number 3?
Here's what I'll say. There's so many good entries, and
yeah, this was sort of like the NFL playoffs of flash fiction.
It is the playoffs.
Everybody's getting CTE over these poems.
What we found in the Big Gulp cup down by the lake was a mix of pig and goat blood, according to the cops. Apparently, you can buy that kind of thing at the butcher shop. So David wasn't a vampire after all. He just liked to drink blood and hang out at 7-Eleven. It's sad. I've been in this kind of situation before. That's what the police want you to think.
This sounds to me like like there was a famous short fiction writer. I can't remember his name, but it's very evocative, don't you think?
Is it J.M. Coetzee? And I didn't think it was. It is evocative. It's also infuriating because it's a story. Yeah, the Nightcrawlers are saying, get David in here. He sounds like a Nightcrawler. Ed Toast likes it.
Get David in here.
David from the story.
Oh, David's a vampire.
Let me tell you.
He was not a vampire.
There's so many cops that said to me, that's not a UFO. That's a building. You can go into it. We can walk closer to it and see that it's a building, and it pisses me off that they won't admit the truth. So that's an interesting one. It's about the lies we're fed by the kind of the BS masters. So
there are so many BS masters in the world, aren't there?
Oh man, I would say the rivals to the Nightcrawlers are the BS masters.
That's the Skeletor to our He-Man, so to speak. The polar opposite of the Nightcrawlers are the BS masters.
Yeah, like Ralph Waldo Emerson was a card-carrying BS master.
I don't know anything about that. Look, I'm going to read entry 4. The werewolf has 2 choices. She can live knowing that she is a monster, or hand Faye, her trusted Faye, a pistol and a silver bullet. You know what to do, the werewolf mourns, placing a duffel bag in Faye's arms. Faye grips it, shaking, and unzips to check. There's a burger in there. Chris.
I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I have a feeling that was written by your brother, Chris, which just sort of a turnoff from the get-go. But then, beyond that... And by the way, does your brother does he spell his name with a K? So is there any chance that he spelled his name with a K
to get past the algorithms? He may have.
Yeah.
In our algorithms, you'd think that's a very basic... They're airtight, but if you start spelling things differently, they fail immediately.
Right, that is the strange thing about them. because they're very advanced, and yet the most basic thing will
Right.
scramble
This one's
their circuits.
disqualified. We can't take the chance.
Yeah.
We cannot take the chance. I don't even.
No.
I can't.
If it's him, then we're.
I
asking
can't
for
even
trouble.
remember it. I've gone blind to it.
Weenus Grabber says it sounds like it's by Chris Christopherson, the actor singer. I tell you what, if that were true, I would just probably jump through the window on the other side of the webcam, but out of excitement and enthusiasm. I'm a big fan.
He is cool. Entry 5. We've got 3 more of these before we got to pick a winner.
Yep.
People used to call me Sasquatch until I got a much needed haircut last week. I have to say, I don't know who Ren is. I've never seen anyone watch our show named Ren.
No, dude, that's never that's never happened.
You know what this sounds like? This sounds like a stand-up. I think Ren is a stand-up comic who's trying to use our show as a dime store open mic night.
Yeah, like as a masturbation.
Yeah, it's like when you're a ruthless stand-up comic, everything you see is an opportunity to do stand-up.
I know a couple of those guys. We've got a couple that work at Best Buy. Stand-up comics. Everything's a joke.
And it's
for
funny.
those guys.
It's not that it's not and here's what addendum. Everything's a funny joke. I'm gonna read this quickly before we move on in the style of a stand-up comedy. In the style of a stand-up comic. So people used to call me Sasquatch until I got a much needed haircut last week. Now they just call me, what the fuck? Please know I have children. And then it's like that guy gets it.
What about like the Rodney Dangerfield? Oh, people used to call me Sasquatch until I got a much needed haircut last week. Now they just call me
In another,
get out
well,
of here.
If Ren does stand up like that joke could work. We have. Oh God. Well, there's another Chris who submitted, and it's regular.
But is it a
No,
K?
it's the regular Chris. Well, that's the other thing that breaks our algorithm. If two Chris's submit, it breaks.
Is there any chance that the K Chris is our old he's not our old director. He's sort of dormant currently.
But he is old.
Chris? No. I mean, sure.
Yeah, there is a chance. Entry 6.
Or as the Germans say, sex.
I'm interested to hear this read through your tone.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that you highlighted. I didn't go down a page. All right, this is going to be sort of an action one. All right. Suddenly, I arose to a catastrophic sound of 2 creatures fighting in my dining room. They were speaking some weird language. I think it was Asian.
This is my brother Chris, and it's disqualified. But keep going.
And actually, Alex, why don't we do this? This could be kind of interesting. If you provided some sound effects.
All right. All right. I will do the best sound effects possible, but this is already disqualified. Okay.
Let's back it up here. So, suddenly, I arose to a catastrophic sound of 2 creatures fighting in my dining room. They were speaking some weird language. I think it was Asian.
Keep going.
I went downstairs and and suddenly the sound stopped, as if no one was there. I turned around to walk back upstairs, and immediately felt pressure on my chest. I looked down and saw that I was bleeding, and then looked up and saw Sasquatch holding a knife.
So that one was disqualified.
Yeah. That was definitely
So
rather...
this is it, the last one. And we've never had to make this rule before, but no one is allowed to on our show anymore. Not if you're going to suggest that a language you hear belongs to a continent, you have to know the specific country. I never want to hear you can't say Australian, you can't say European, you can't say Asian. Just you'll be disqualified. We'll find a way to disqualify you.
You can't say American.
So, last one. Here we go. Ed Toast. For my 11th Christmas, I was given TV and VCR combo.
What?
It was pretty nice. And now I could play my PS2 on my own TV in my room. Around a year later, we moved houses to one which was once just a one floor with an attic, but someone renovated the attic to be a shared room, shared bath, and then 2 bedrooms, one of which I took. Not too long after moving in, the TV spoke. It would ceaselessly spend nights asking me if I was there and if I was gay, and then blare a siren similar to a British police siren. This is like a Craigslist ad. Even after being unplugged and placed in the center of a room, it would talk and blare that siren. I invited friends over and had me mom witness it. But to this day, me mom witness it. But to this day, she will deny it happened at all. I have a hard time. No, I don't know. Here's what I say before I finish this. This is so detailed and so long that it's almost mind bending, the transition and how detailed this is. Hello, are you there? Are you gay? Are you gay? Are you there? It never stopped, and we moved after a while. The TV silent for the rest of its existence.
You know,
I honestly I'm speechless. I was taken through the ringer.
It is sort of powerful, and here's why. It's like sort of finding some outsider art that was written by like a deranged person, like a Henry Darger, who was an artist who he made like 10 or 20,000 pages of illustrations and stories about this fantasy land where there was these prepubescent children that were fighting against a tyrannical fantasy government or something. And then he was a janitor by day. And then when he finally died, they found all of this art. And then he ended up having like a retrospective at the MoMA and stuff. And this is that kind of thing. It's like there's some sort of genius in just of sort of the brokenness of the mind that created this, that you almost have to respect it.
Right. Ed Toast has shown us a kind of beauty, and that is it's like heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking kind of beauty.
Right. Yeah, because you on the one hand, it's just like this. You're like, there's really something special about this person, and then on the other hand, you're like, this person's just completely going nowhere. Which I get
Well,
it. Some might say the same thing about
but here's what
us.
the thing. Here's the thing. We're going everywhere. But here's the other thing. Ed Toast said this was true, and as it should be.
Right.
It's this is all nonfiction, and what I have to say is it is that kind of beauty that you say this is amazing. It's amaze balls. And it leaves you speechless, and it leaves you to look the universe in the eye and say, "Man, get me out of here. I'm stuck. Get me off this crazy thing." This is going to be hard to pick. I do wonder. I do wonder from a paranormal standpoint if you would have just said, yes or no to the question, "Are you gay?" if the ghost would have gone away. Just, food for thought for next time that happens. How are we going to pick this, Eric?
You know what? I'm just. I think for me it's either between Ed Toast or Grace. And why don't you pick two, and if there's an overlap, then we'll have the Nightcrawlers decide.
I think you got to choose Ed Toast. Here's the thing. It broke every rule in the book for this contest. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It broke every rule in the book. You could not have broken more. The book had a certain amount of rules, and you broke all of the rules.
It's like the Alice in Chains of flash fiction.
But it was bold, and it had the ring of truth. So I choose that one as in the running. I mean, it's a $10 gift card. You can't just immediately. Steve has bowed out of the contest. That's extremely controversial.
Oh, that is controversial. I don't condone that.
You did. You know what? Steve wins a higher prize, although in a way it's not higher.
Yeah, Steve wins the kind of prize that he can only give himself.
But it's not a prize. It's more of it's the idea of self-respect, and when you see all of us together sharing a meal that we bought together, a $10 meal that we're all eating at McDonald's, you can say to yourself, I did the right thing, and that's why I'm out living here in the snow.
If we're picking Ed Toast, like, congrats. Let's.
There's a last minute thing here. I just want to say, I don't know. I do have to say, Grace was good, but I have to say, I find her story. You got to go with a story that in which you're able to say that is why I'm a Nightcrawler. That's why I'm a paranormal investigator. Is because sometimes TV's just you can't turn them off, and no electrician can explain it. So Ed Toast is the winner of the $10 gift card.
Good job, Ed Toast. Where do we go from here? We've laughed, we've cried, we've done it all.
It's been an episode and a half, really. It has been.
And this is episode 2 of season 4 of Dark of the Night, folks. And thank you again for kind of hanging in there with us. We're slowly building this new iteration of the show where we're doing these sort of remote broadcasts.
We're in the process of building a new studio, and so this is it's a little bit more experimental these past couple episodes than we're used to, but it still has the ring of truth.
That's right. Stick with us, and don't be shy to sort of advertise the show. Don't be if there's any new viewers out there watching, don't be ashamed to follow our channel and to spread the word, because it's all, upwards and onwards from here on out. So,
Eric, it's always a pleasure to spend an evening searching for the truth with you and the Nightcrawlers. I have to say, final word, I hope the Loch Ness Monster's safe and somewhere warm. And I hope if it is okay, it will let us know that it's okay soon. I just want to know that it's okay. I'm not mad. I won't get mad if that it's been hiding, and I'm not sure if it, just let me know.
Let Alex know.
I'm not mad. Nightcrawlers, we'll see you next week. Keep looking to the skies and keep flushing all of your enemies just down into whatever toilets you need to make.
That's right, folks. Take care of yourselves out there, and we'll see you next week.